Hey, Mike with Nerd Problems Gaming here, the channel where we go through the good and bad of everything nerdy to make sure you spend your time on the best of the best. In today's video, I'll be doing a how to play video and review of Your Friend is Sad, so let's get into it. So Your Friend is Sad is a competitive card game for 1 to 4 players where players take on the challenge of cheering up their sad friend. It's a fun and easy game to learn and quick to play, but let's jump into more on how you play the game, and I'll go into my full review after that. All right guys, now that we've got the game out, let's learn how to play Your Friend is Sad. And so the objective of the game is that players are trying to cheer up their sad friend. And so the game is played by collecting brain cards and completing cheer up cards by matching the icons on the cards. And so to win the game, players can either complete cheer up cards to earn 13 points or more. And so you can see on the cheer up cards, they have a point value designated by the number surrounded by the tier icon. Another way to win is collecting 3 cheer up cards with the same sadness sort. And so for example, you can see this card has a gloomy sadness sort. So if I got 3 of those types, I would win the game as well. And again, there's different types like melancholy, downcast, gloomy, and more. So when it comes to setting up the game, it's very simple. You're just going to put the stack of cheer up cards at the top here, a stack of life cards at the top. You'll leave room for discard piles as well. You want to set up 4 cheer up cards that people can complete. You'll take the brain cards and set a draw pile here with room for a discard pile. Flip up 4 brain cards, forming the repressed memories pile. You'll also want to deal out 5 brain cards to each player, and then give the turn marker to the player who tried to cheer up someone last, and they're going to go first. And you want to make sure you have the sad side up, because your friend isn't happy right now, they're sad. And your goal is to make them happy. So on your turn, there's several different actions that you want to take. The first one is stopping to think. And so what this means is you're going to take a brain card from the repressed memory section, discard it, and then replace it with a new card from the brain deck, not your hand. So for example, let's say I wanted to get rid of this green brain goop. I would then flip up a new brain card, which also happened to be green, so nothing really changed there. The second step is to better yourself. And so there's a couple options you can do with this. The first one is you can draw 2 blind cards from the brain deck. So I could draw 2 brain cards and add them to my hand. So let's say I didn't want to draw 2 cards blind. I could also trade for a card in the repressed memory section. And then when I do that, I also have to draw life cards. So let's say, for example, I wanted to try and complete this cheer up card eventually, the Fursuit Dance Party. And so I need 2 purples and a nostalgia feeling to complete this. Looking at my hand, I don't actually have any of those, so I'm going to need to either draw blind, or if there's cards in the middle section, I might decide to trade with that. And so I need a nostalgia. I've got 2 pink brain goops, for example, so I'm gonna trade one of these for the nostalgia, add that to my hand, and I might be able to complete that cheer card on another turn. But when you do trade, you also need to draw a life card. And so life is sometimes good, sometimes it's bad, and it can make you worse off and more sad. So in this case, it says keep this card for the rest of the game, and I can hold up to 12 brain cards in my hand without triggering oversharing. So I'll cover what that means in a bit, but normally your max card hand size is 10. This would increase it to 12. And so this is actually a positive life card because it benefits my character. So I just leave that out to designate that that happened. Now there's a couple other options I can do on my turn. One of them is to get a life. And so this is optional, but what you need to do is discard feeling cards or a vibe bot from your hand, and then you can draw a life card. So for example, I've got this affection feeling, so I could discard that, and then in exchange, I can draw a life card. And so in this case, watch anime, and I have to play this immediately. So this would require me to draw a secret cheer up card that only I can complete. So I'll just discard that, draw that secret cheer up card. So in this case, you can see the cheer up card is cosplay of the feeling blue type, and this is a secret cheer up card that only I can complete. So I'll keep this hidden from the other players, and if I have the appropriate brain goop and feelings, I could complete that on my turn. The next thing you can do on your turn is completing cheer. And so this is optional, but if you have the right cards, you can simply discard them in the discard pile for the brain card deck that meet the requirements of a specific cheer card, and then you'll put that in your completed cheer card area and earn the respective points listed on the cheer card. You aren't limited to the number of cheer cards you can complete on a turn, so if you have the cards available, you can complete several in the same turn. Once you've done everything you can, you just simply pass the turn marker token to the next player and they can take their turn. Now there's a couple special cards in the deck that do certain things. One of them is a brainstorm card. And so when this card is flipped up, you need to play it immediately. If it comes up here in the repressed memory section, just play it immediately. But if you draw it into your hand, you actually want to play it immediately and then draw another card to replace it. So when this card comes up, the player that drew it chooses to discard all the repressed memories or active cheer up cards and then replace them with new ones from their respective decks. So for example, let's say I didn't like any of the repressed memories, I could discard those and then just simply draw 4 new ones that might help me complete new cheer cards that are out there. Or again, you can do the same thing with the cheer up card section. Another special card is the Vibe Bot. And so this can count as any type of feeling and you can use it to complete cheer cards accordingly. Also, you could discard this during the Get a Life optional action part of your turn to draw a life card. Another special card is Brain Goop, but a rainbow color, and this can be used in exchange for any type of Brain Goop to complete a cheer up card. There's also a Life Happens card, and so instead of discarding a Vibe Bot or a feeling during the optional Get a Life action of your turn, you could discard the Life Happens card instead and draw 2 life cards. Now, one additional rule that takes place is if your hand size is over 10 cards. So if you have more than 10 cards in your hand at the end of your turn, your brain is too full and you must choose one of the following. 1, you can clear your head, which means that you put your entire hand of brain cards into the garbage, the brain card pile, and then you draw 5 new cards. And then this is your new hand. The second option you can do is called oversharing. And so what you do is you lay all of your brain cards face up on the table, and now other players can trade cards with your hand as if it were the repressed memory section during the better yourself phase. And this goes back to normal once you have 10 or fewer cards in your hand. So if you had more than 10, you could do this as an option, but once you get back down to 10, you take your hand back so players can't trade with it anymore. If it ever happens where a cheer up card pile, life card pile, or brain card pile is empty and you need to draw more, reshuffle the discard pile and form a new deck for the appropriate deck. Again, you win the game when a player has either earned 13 points of completed cheer up cards, or if they have 3 of the same type of completed cheer up cards, they also win the game. At that point, flip over the sadness token to the happy side and you won the game. There's a couple variants in the game as well that I won't get into, but check into the rule book to see solo mode variant. But now that you have a better idea on how the game is played, let's jump into my review on the game. Well guys, now that you know how to play the game, how do I actually feel about it? Well, like I said, the game is easy to learn and quick to play. Most games take maybe 20 to 30 minutes to complete. So that's great. You're not going to spend hours playing this game, which gives you more time to play a few sessions in a row. As I mentioned, the game is 1 to 4 players. It was definitely fun playing a 2-player game. We played most of our games like that, but I think some of the 3 and 4 player games really allow you to utilize some of the cards to the full potential. For example, some of the cards, you will steal different colored Brain Goop and all of them from everyone playing. And so that could really change the momentum of the game. And I think in a 3 or 4 player game, cards like that are even more powerful because you'll be getting every single one of the colors from other players. One thing I like too is you can actually set up yourself with some combos depending on how other players play. For example, there's a card where when repressed memories are discarded, they go to a player's hand, and you might be holding a card that collects every Brain Goop of a certain color. So you might intentionally discard those cards to make them go to a specific player, only to later in your turn play one of those cards that steals all the cards of that color, not only hurting your opponent, but benefiting yourself as well, which is extra fun. I think as you play too, you'll discover more strategies of how to win. I feel like it was kind of ever changing as you went through, where you might start off the game with the strategy to try and get the most points the fastest and get to 13 points and win. But after a few hands into the game, you might realize that you have a few matching sadness sorts, and it might be to your advantage to try and get 3 of those to win, which might change up your strategy as you play. There was also a couple other powerful cards that really influenced the momentum of the game. For example, one of the games me and my girlfriend played, there was a card where it made you switch cheer up cards with another player, and that totally destroyed the strategy I was going for. And so it was kind of cool that cards like that were in the mix of the game. The artwork of the game is really fun too. There's quirky humor in it as well. And some of the artwork on the cards even features art from artists that created the Oatmeal, Cyanide and Happiness, and more. So that's cool. You'll probably recognize some of the artwork within the cards as you play as well. But overall, I enjoyed this game. Like I said, it's pretty easy to learn and quick to play. It's a fun game for 2 players as well as groups of people. And so I think it's worth picking up and adding to your nerd library if you think this game looks fun. If you'd like to pick up a copy of this game, there'll be links in the description below where you can do so. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to smash that like button as it really helps out the channel. And if you haven't done so yet, be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell notifications to get the latest updates of new nerd videos we put out. And if you'd like to help us support the channel, pick out content and more, become a patron of ours at nerdproblemsgaming.com/Patreon. And if you'd like to plug into our live streams and Let's Plays we do on the channel, you can follow us on Twitch at nerdproblemsgaming.com/Twitch. But once again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you more soon.